guys, it's Chala from Crafting Through the Chaos of Life. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to be using these gorgeous bee stamps, and let me tell you a little bit about them. This first one is Bee Collage. It's actually F13983 and it's from Impression Obsession, and it is absolutely gorgeous. You have this beautiful bee stamp with kind of this floral wreath and then text in the background. Next we have from Craft Consortium the Tell the Bees Special Edition clear stamps. Look at how gorgeous these are. And as well, I also picked up the Tell the Bees metal charms to go along with this. So I thought it would be really fun to combine these two different stamp sets and these little charms to create a fun card. I'm going to be bringing in a whole bunch of different textures for this card, and one of the things I'm going to be bringing in is this piece of just a paper bag from my grocery store. I like the thickness of it, I love the color of it, and I think it'll go well for this kind of card idea that I have in my head. So I want to go ahead and stamp this out onto this paper bag, and I'm going to use my Stamp Perfect. So I'm just going to use my magnets to hold this down, and I'm going to be using my very favorite VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. So I've gone ahead and put the stamp on my platform, and I think that should stamp down nicely. I like to use different recyclable materials sometimes when I work. I think it adds really cool interest and, like I said, texture to the card. So I'm just going to line this up, and I think that'll be okay, and I'll go ahead and stamp this down. I'm going to ink this brand new stamp up really well, and I usually get a really great impression with this ink, so hopefully it won't let me down. Adding nice pressure to the back of the stamp, and look at that stunning stamp right off the bat. Alright, I really like how that turned out, so I'm going to go ahead, and I think what I want to do is I want this to be a real kind of vintagey looking card, so I'm going to pull out one of my tear rulers, and instead of cutting this bee out, I'm just going to rip them out with this tear ruler. This is a We Are Memory Keepers tear guide ruler. There's 3 in the sets, and this is one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this. Oops. Just tearing all the way around this. Oops. A little hard to keep my ruler straight on that glass. Let's try this again. There we go. Again, just kind of a messy rip out. You can use your fingers and just rip if you like. In fact, this one edge didn't tear all the way, so I'll just go ahead and tear the rest of it with my fingers. There we go. And I'll move these off to the side. And now what I want to do is I'm going to bring in, let's bring in the vintage photo. And I have purchased these awesome mini dome ink pads, and I'm going to go ahead and open these up. So excited to use these. And I'm going to bring in my little stamping tool, and I'll just put that right on there. Oh, that's going to be great. I like the flat ones as well for certain things, but they seem to break up really easily, so we'll see if this one works any better. I like the contour of this blending pad. And I'm just going to ink up the edges just to give it a bit more vintagey look. I want to create lots and lots of different layers and interest on this card. Okay, so there is that. Now I think what I want to do is I want to back this onto some black cardstock just to make it pop. So I'm just going to grab that. Okay, I've got my black cardstock. I am going to adhere this down onto it using my art glitter craft glue here. This is one of my favorite glues right now. Go ahead and apply that down. Okay, and the next thing that we want to do is I want to go ahead and just trim this out into a square. I'm going to use my Fiskars guillotine trimmer to do this. And let's make this about right there. Should go a little bit further. And then we'll chop it right about here. So there we go. Set my guillotine trimmer aside. Now again, I want to create lots of different layers. So I'm going to grab a card base. This is a standard A2 size card base that we're going to be using, and this is my favorite cardstock that I found over at Amazon. So I'll go ahead and link that for you guys as well. But let's just see what we're working with here. Okay, I think what I also want is some light creams or some craft color of cardstock just to keep building. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of those colors. Okay, so I pulled out some papers, and some of the papers that I actually pulled out was this new paper pad set that I got from Scrap and Stamp. It's called Departed. It's from Tim Holtz. It's the Ideology, and these are great papers. They are double-sided and they are just gorgeous, and they're perfect 8x8 size. So I want to go ahead, and I really like this one here, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out. And I think I want this to be the entire background put onto my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. You know what, I'm going to get my other trimmer. My other trimmer is a little bit more precise, so give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to use my Fiskars Sure Trim. This has this little wire piece in it that shows me exactly where my blade is going to cut, and I really like that, and it's got just a bigger surface for me to measure on. So we're going to measure 5.5 by 4.25. So there's 4.25. Okay, lay that aside, and then that is going to cover our background piece. Now I was going to put this on a panel, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since it's so big and bulky already with the different layers, I think I'm going to adhere it right onto my card panel. So I'm going to go grab my card. Okay, so I've got my card base. Again, it's a standard A2 size card base, and I'm going to adhere this piece right on there. It looks like this card base is just a little bigger than 5.25, so I'm just going to trim that down. Or sorry, a little bigger than 5.5. Just measure that and trim it off. then I can go ahead and adhere this right onto that card base. Again, I'm going to use my art glitter glue for that. It's great strong adhesive. And it shouldn't leave any lumpy bumpies underneath. Just going to put my pin in right away. That's the one thing about this glue is you want to make sure that you close the lid up right away so it doesn't dry out. I'll put it this way. Go ahead and line that up. Okay, now that we have that down, I can bring in my other piece and see how I want to continue layering it. I think what I want is another square type piece. Actually, I want to bring in lots of textures. So maybe what I'll do is I have some lace here that I just got from the dollar store. And what else do I have? I have actually some burlap as well, just some burlap sheets. So let's go ahead and see if we can try and bring these different textures in as well. Maybe I'll just cut a little piece of lace. And that looks nice. We'll open up our burlap. There's something great about adding different types of textures and fabrics and mediums to your craft work. It just gives it so much more personality and interest. So I'm literally just gonna cut a hunk off. And get rid of these stray little bits. This is rolled up a bit, so I'm gonna just trim it off. Alright, let's see how we can add that. Yeah, I kind of like how that's looking. Maybe put that more on an angle. Just kind of have to fiddle around and see what looks good with your eye. I somehow want to work in these charms. You know what? I want to add another layer actually. I really want to bring in this stamp set, and I love this honeycomb. So I think what I want to do is, let's use this honeycomb. And I'll bring in my stamp platform again, if I can find it. I've got everything everywhere here. And let's add yet another different element. Let's use some vellum for that. Open this up. These stamps are just absolutely gorgeous. I love the little beehive. There's some flowers, and then some more little bees, and that honeycomb. So let's go ahead and use that honeycomb. It comes with some bees attached to it. I'm not sure if we'll end up seeing those when we layer them, but give it a try. And I think what might be nice is using a gold, a gold or a metallic ink. So let me just go ahead and see what I have over in my stash. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have this Umbrella Crafts ink. It's soft gold. It's a premium dye ink. And let's just go ahead and stamp with that. Make sure everything's lined up. I think adding a metallic aspect to it will look really neat. I'll stamp this. Now I might have to give it a couple different stampings here just to get a nice impression, as I'm not sure how well this ink stamps on vellum. Yeah, it stamped really light. Let's try this again. I wonder if this ink is getting dry. I don't use it all that often. We might have to go a different route if this doesn't work. Let's try that again. Well, it didn't turn out very well, so let me see what other... Okay, I'm going to use my tried, tested, and true distress inks, and I'm going to use scattered straw. Let's see how well this works on the vellum. Oh, that's much better. That worked a lot better. I like that. So I'm just going to hit this quickly with my heat tool just to dry it up a bit. Being careful not to warp my vellum. Now if you want, you can also do some heat embossing. Again, you just have to be very careful that you don't overheat your vellum so that it warps. And I think for this, I am just going to fussy cut out this little image here. Just kind of going around the images, leaving a little bit of a border. Now because it has some little bits of edges here to the honeycombs that aren't completed, I'm just going to, again, just leave a bit of a border around them. I think it'll add a nice little bit of interest. Looks like I got a little bit of some ink smudging there. That's okay. This will likely all be, that part will be covered up. We might not see it. Alright. So let's bring this back and see how we can build on it. Let's put, needs a little bit of something behind it to make it stand out. So let's bring in maybe a piece of some craft paper. I've got a small piece here. Let's see if we can play around with that. And maybe I think what I'll do is I'm going to use this little Tim Holtz, it's just an edging distressor. So I'll go ahead and distress the edges of this little square piece. Again, adding more texture and interest to the card. And then we'll go ahead and ink up the edges just a little bit as well, just to give it that bit of worn look, bit of aged. There we go. I got my little cardboard bits on there. that on there. Let's see. Bit of playing around. Maybe we'll turn this like this. Okay, I think I like that. And then we'll add some of this burlap underneath. Like this. And maybe the lace. And then I want to bring in kind of like a little sentiment or a phrase. So what I've done is I have gone ahead and looked online for some different sayings. And let's see if I can find them. I've got such a mess going on my desk right now. I can't seem to locate anything. Let's see. There they are. So I printed off these kind of little dictionary phrases, and this is from, they're called rip strips, and this is the joyful definitions from Musings by Nikki. I just got this off of Etsy. I like to go on there when I'm doing junk journaling and to get ideas for my cards. And I think what I want to do is I want to use this kind. So I'm going to go ahead and use my ruler again, my rip ruler, tear ruler, and I'm just going to tear this sentiment out. I don't want it too neat, so I'm going to use my tear ruler and try and get this on camera so you can see it. And I've just printed this out on copy paper. Kind of line it up there. And then I can use these other ones for another project. And rip it down this way. Oops. Okay, set those aside, and then I'll just rip this here. And rip it here. Again, I like to ink up the edges just to cover up any of that white that I get on there, and just to again make it look a little bit aged. And since it's on copy paper and I'm kind of bending it, it gives that worn look to it as well. All right. So let's bring our card back, and I think I want to put this down here. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking, so I think it's about time we start getting some of this glued down before we get too far into it. So I'm going to slowly peel the layers back. So for paper on paper, I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue. Just applying a nice bead to the back. Again, I love that it has this precision tip. Oops. If you're wondering what this is just a stopper for a knitting needle. It's just picked it up at Michael's, and it works perfectly to top my glue stick. And then I have just a pin that I keep in my glue, just so it doesn't become all clogged up, and it just works nicely as a kind of a cover for it so it doesn't get all goopy. All right. Give a generous amount there, and this was kind of here. Now for this burlap, before I make a mess, I want to use Fabri-Tac, just because it helps adhere this, fabric pieces down just a little bit better. Take those off. I kind of like that edge showing. That looks good. And I might not need this whole thing. I can cut it just a bit more. And add a generous amount of this Fabri-Tac. This is really, really sticky. It's guaranteed to adhere this down with no problem. Like that. I know that this is a very different style than you're used to seeing me make. I like to explore with different styles of cards. It's fun just to do stamping, like clean stamping or clean cards, but sometimes it's also fun just to do a different type of look, more, kind of think of it as a more vintagey look, I guess. I'm really having fun with mixed media right now. So we'll go ahead and do the same Fabri-Tac for this lace. And we'll just put that down about here. Yeah, I think that'll look good. And then because I'm adhering paper on top of this lace and burlap, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac on the back of this bee piece. Just in case. I don't want anything coming up. That'll guarantee that I've got good adhesion. There we go. And then let's go ahead and add our little kind dictionary piece here. Again, I'm using some Fabri-Tac, and so this says kind, adjective, disposed to do good to others and to make them happy by granting their requests, supplying their wants, or assisting them in distress, having tenderness or goodness of nature. I think that is awesome. I'm going to adhere that down. And now I think what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of color to the bee. I just want a little bit of color popping out. So I'm going to grab a Copic marker. And I think I'm just going to use this cadmium yellow, this Y15. And let's just add a little bit of color to this bee. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks good. Now, what else can we add to this? I have some liquid pearls still sitting on my desk here from my last mixed media project, so let's go ahead and add some of these onto it. And with the liquid pearls, what I like to do is just kind of pat it down on my work surface, and it kind of settles those little bubbles nicely. And maybe I want to add 3 more over here. Again, just going to tap it down. And let that settle. And there is our card so far. I think that looks really cool. It was really simple to make this using different textures, but I think it turned out pretty. One of the other things that I think I want to do is think about my sentiments. And I got some really great sentiments in my package from Scrap and Stamp. And I have this really great one from Picket Fence, and it is called Small Ways to Say Thank You. And it's just phenomenal. Like, thanks for being amazing. Thanks for your friendship. I think that would be cute too, is if you actually wrote inside, thanks for being amazing, and had B like B-E-E and then -ing for being amazing. I think that would be fun. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for being my person. So I could use one of these, or you could use something like this instead of the dictionary stamp here. You can just stamp this out and have that instead of here for your sentiment. I also have these My Favorite Things. This is the Kind Thanks, and I really love these great big beautiful bold sentiments. And so I like this because it's kind of like be kind. And I think what I want to put on there is, this one's funny. Your kindness is only exceeds by your radiant good looks. That's cute. But let's try, I think let's do all the little things you do make a big difference. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry, and then I'll come back and show you the finished card once everything's stamped and dried. You know what, guys, I just realized I didn't put my vellum piece on, so we're going to try and quickly get this on. This just shows you that things don't always go as planned, or we forget. So I'm going to try and lift this up. That adhesive hasn't quite dried, so let's see if I can go ahead and get this tucked underneath. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just rip this vellum a bit here. And I can glue that down in there. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I forgot that. So make sure I'm adhering it down the right way. I'll just tuck this back in here. And this adhesive should dry clear underneath. Oh no, and now I smushed my, oh you guys, look what I did. I smushed my little bead of liquid pearls. That's okay. We are going to fix it. All is not lost. See, this is what happens. I am going to grab, what am I going to grab? I have such a mess going on. I managed not to muck up the other ones. I mucked one up. So let's see if I can find my sand eraser. I'm just going to see if I can grab my sand eraser and I'll be right back. Okay, oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see that, but I kind of smudged my gold liquid pearls there. So I'm going to very carefully, now that I have my vellum adhered down, I'm going to see if I can very carefully use my sand eraser just to lift off some of that gold. And then hopefully no one will notice. Oh, I think it's going to work, you guys. Okay, now I'll just have to reapply my little pearl here. Ooh, crisis averted. All right. Just gotta be careful I don't hit the other ones. Tap this down again. Okay, and I'm really going to make sure now that I let it dry, and then I'll come back and we'll do the sentiment on the inside. Okay guys, so I am back and I have finished off this card. I did add this cute little bee charm from the Tell the Bees special edition metal charms, and I just sewed that on with some yellow thread, and then I did add these little flowers as well just to give it a little something more. And then on the inside I used the stamp set Tell the Bees, and I added the beehive and a little bee, and then I added that "You're so kind and compassionate." So I really like how this card turned out, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that the video was a little bit disjointed, but hopefully you got some ideas to make your own bee cards. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Hey guys, I would really love it if you sent me some snail mail. I'd love to receive your cards and see what you've been busy making. As well, everybody who sends me a card will get something free in the mail, and I hope to show your cards on one of my next videos. As always, you can find the materials used in today's video down below in the description and over at my blog. Any purchases made through these links helps me to bring you future content and tutorials at no extra cost to you. Another way you can show your support is simply by liking, sharing, and subscribing so as not to miss any future posts. Thanks again, and until next time, P.S. I love you.